Hi. In this video, I want to talk to you about two things, respect and discrimination. And I think this is a pertinent topic for this series of videos, The Elegant Gentleman, because, well, being a gentleman obviously involves extending respect and not discriminating, at least based on stereotypical definitions of those two concepts. These days we're concerned mostly with the secondary or tertiary or quaternary meanings of these words, not their primary definitions, which perhaps says something about our society, but that is a topic for another video. What is important here is that with respect, the meaning of the word ranges from simple concern or a passing regard to esteem or high regard. And the meaning of the word respectable as an adjective differs from, once again, high regard or high esteem all the way down to presentable or adequate or tolerable even. Now when you look at discrimination, what happens there is that the primary meanings of the word are once again good. They're very good. The dictionary talks about discernment or knowing how to differentiate, differentiation based on various objective factors when it talks about discrimination. And way down in the definition, the last bit of it refers to what we normally talk about when we say discrimination these days, which is differentiation or prejudiced treatment of certain groups based on various outdated criteria. For me, the two terms go together. And so what I mean is when we encounter a situation, when we encounter people, we are going to discriminate. Now whether we do it the good way, whether we use certain criteria to differentiate or discern, or whether we do it the bad way, where we simply dismiss outright, is up to each one of us. And what happens when we discriminate is that we decide whether or not to extend our respect to the people that we're dealing with. And respect, once again, as we saw from the dictionary, ranges in meaning from just simple concern to high regard. So to treat somebody with respect doesn't necessarily mean that you hold them up on a pedestal. It simply means that you had a concern for them. It could be a very passing concern that you can't even remember a few hours later. But you had some concern. You involved yourself in your dealing with them, with the situation. And it's also interesting to note that giving somebody respect or concern doesn't have to necessarily be in a positive way, right? When you're concerned about somebody, you don't always treat them with kid gloves. You may actually tell them things like they are, out of respect for them, out of concern for them. And you may end up hurting or bruising an ego. But if you're concerned about somebody, I believe that you should be honest with them. So let's talk now about the three things that I believe you should, the three factors that I believe you should be using to discriminate or discern how much respect you should accord somebody in a certain situation or when you encounter them. That sounds more reasonable, right? Okay, so the first one ought to be their behavior. How are they behaving? Are they being decent? Are they being helpful? Are they being cheerful? Are they being honest? And so on and so forth. I think we all kind of look for certain things in our dealings with people, and unless we're leaning toward the weird, I think we all have the same sort of needs and wants, right? We want to be treated fairly. We want to be treated helpfully, if we want to be treated honestly, and so on. So you look at somebody's behavior and see if it matches the kind of behavior you expect from the situation or from that dealing. And if it doesn't, well, then that's a flag, a red flag. The second criteria I use to judge, that sounds terrible again, to discern, let's put it this way, to help me figure out how much respect I should accord somebody, is their appearance. And I know appearances can be deceiving. I'm fully aware of this. But I believe the amount of care someone has put into their appearance tells a lot about their what kind of person they are. And cleanliness is a big thing for me. If I go to talk to somebody and they smell, or they're disheveled, then I'm not going to have a lot of respect for them. I'm just not going to have a lot of respect for them. I don't care, they could be billionaires. If they smell, I'm going to limit severely the amount of time I spend with them. I'm going to distance myself from them. And in the future, I'm going to do my best to stay away from them. Plain and simple. Now, when it comes to the third criteria, this is going to possibly step on a few toes. But it must be said. It's an important criteria for me, and I believe it's an important criteria for those of us who want to go through life being reasonable people. And this criteria is this: how open-minded is the person I'm dealing with? Somebody could be narrow-minded or closed-minded for various reasons. They could simply be uneducated about certain issues. Now, they could also have closed their mind because of beliefs that severely limit their open-mindedness. And those beliefs could be religious, most often they are, or they could be for other reasons. But that is this criteria of mine, of how open-minded is the other person I'm dealing with, is a big deal for me. If you'll notice, there's actually really one criteria that lies at the crux, at the bottom of this whole respect and discrimination situation or subject or topic. It is one's character. I mean, that's really what determines our behavior, determines our appearance. It determines how we approach situations, whether or not we're open-minded. But so many people are so adept at hiding their character, hiding their true self, through layers and layers of deceit and masks, social masks, and people love to wear social masks, that it's not easy to determine one's character. And so you have to look at the outward appearances, such as behavior, such as the way they're dressed, the way their hygiene is, and what they talk about, in order to determine how much respect you should give them. Right. So, as a gentleman, how much respect should you give somebody who, let's say, fails on all three criteria? That is an important question to ask yourself, isn't it, right? How much respect? Well, as you've seen from the dictionary, respect can mean high regard or high esteem, or it could simply mean a passing concern. We should have at least a passing concern for somebody, even if they fail in all three criteria. If we don't, if we ignore them altogether, or if we treat them arrogantly, I believe that we're doing them a disservice, and we are doing ourselves a disservice, because they don't get to see what they could be behaving like. And we're doing ourselves a disservice because we're not connecting at all with somebody that we could potentially inspired to something better. As human beings, I think whether we like it or not, and we're all connected. When you look at a city or a metropolis or even a village, it's actually easier to see in a village, but it works the same way even in a metropolis of millions of people. The behavior of each of the people in that metropolis or city or village influences everyone else to differing levels, but it spreads around like ripples in water and affects you. Just a simple little gesture can have so many ripple effects and influence the overall balance toward good or toward bad. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope that this has been helpful to you. And I'll be interested to see what you have to say about this. And I'll see you next time. Bye.